Hello and welcome to this new show on DD News as well as DD India. It's all about ideas, ideas that will help India grow, prosper, and become the new India of all our dreams. It's all about ideas here, whether they're inventions, whether they're innovations, whether they're new businesses. We'll be talking about that through the course of this show, which is India Ideas. I'm Gautam Roy, and today we're talking about Atmanirbhar India Innovate Challenge. This is all about coming up with new apps for the new India. Now, we have two eminent guests with us today. We have MyGov CEO Abhishek Singh, as well as NASSCOM India's President Dejani Ghosh, to talk about this contest. Welcome to you both. First, to you, Abhishek, just tell us about why this contest at this juncture? Why only apps? Because a lot of people are drawing this simple conclusion that since we said that we don't want some malicious apps, we want our own apps to replace them. But this is much, much beyond that, isn't it?
If you look at the app ecosystem across the world, you realize that Indians are the ones who download the apps the maximum. Like if you look at the first quarter of this year, around 33 billion apps were downloaded. 33 billion downloads happened, out of which India was the largest country with more than 5 billion downloads. India is the largest user of the apps. When you look at the companies, the tech companies across the world, most of the top tech companies are led by Indians or people who have come from India. Indian entrepreneurs, Indian startups, Indian tech evangelists, they are working for developing a lot of solutions across. So we have the capability, we are the users. So there is no reason that we should not be there in the top app producing companies, top app generating companies. Unfortunately, what happens is that even if there is a good app, if it doesn't get the necessary support from the government, from the VCs, from the users, it's not able to find a place in the market. So what was felt that one, yes, there was a gap with regard to the malicious apps being blocked. And number two, there was an opportunity with regard to the entrepreneurs, the startup tech engineers who have the capability to build the apps. To leveraging this, we thought that we'll launch an app innovation challenge that will kickstart an app development ecosystem. And it will go a long way in not only creating solutions that can be used in India, but also for the world. It is in the line of the Honorable Prime Minister's statement for Atmanirbhar Bharat that we will build in India, for India and the world. So that is the whole philosophy regarding launch of this Atmanirbhar App Innovation Challenge.
Okay, we'll ask you a little bit more about what the challenge is all about, but I want to get Dejani's view and what you as an industry body thought when you heard about this sort of challenge being launched by the government.
So I'll bring some numbers to the game. If you just look at first half 2020, the global app revenue, how much the industry makes out of apps, jumped to over 50 billion globally, right? That's a 23% jump up over first half of 2019. Now, this is a tremendous opportunity. As Abhishek rightly said, Indians are some of the largest users of apps. We are consuming apps, but we are not contributing to the app economy. We are not building the apps. We are not uploading the apps. We are only downloading and using the apps and therefore contributing to the revenue generation, but we are not getting any of the revenue in the country, right? So I think from that perspective, the pure economy, if you look at the economics of it, there is no good reason for India to be left out in the game. We have talent. We have enough need. We have enough problems that apps can solve. We have the talent that can solve the problem. We just, for whatever reason in the past, have not focused on creating the ecosystem. And I think this challenge to me plays a much bigger role. It's not just about getting Indian apps about there, but I hope, I keep telling Abhishek that the force is with him. I really want them to succeed and use this opportunity to start the app building development ecosystem in India. And we should have a big goal to get a pretty large chunk of that 50 billion to India. This is what will make that dream that we have of $1 trillion digital economy come true. So
Yes.
it's not just a feel good thing. It makes tremendous business economic sense.
Mhm. Now, Abhishek, just for the benefit of our viewers, the contest has been on. The time for submitting entries will soon be over. Just tell us a little bit more about what is the contest about, and how, through the course of the contest, will those who are submitting their entries really grow as, people who develop apps and then go into independent businesses as well, even if they don't win the contest.
See, the way the innovation challenge has been designed is that we have left a lot of flexibility for the app developers and the entrepreneurs to think of innovative solutions and submit them. So we are the first, it's being launched in two tracks. The first track is for apps which have already been developed. So we have defined 8 broad categories, which range uh, from office utilities to work from home to news to entertainment to photo editing. So all kinds of apps or games. So all kinds of apps can be submitted, which are already developed by Indian entrepreneurs. So these 8 categories are broad categories, and depending on the kind of solutions we get, so there might be innovators who might like submit apps which work in multiple categories. Like there can be app which can work in news and entertainment. So that is left to the imagination of the entrepreneurs. We are not drawing lines which restricts the thinking and the entrepreneurship spirit of the people who develop the apps. So those 8 categories are broad categories in which people are submitting apps. We already have more than 1,600 submissions. So then these submitted apps will be evaluated by a jury, which will comprise of the top tech minds in India from the industry, from academia, and these apps will go through a very strict scrutiny process with regard to their robustness, with regard to their scalability, with regard to the security features that they have, and with regard to the problem that they are solving. And once they come into that, the government will notify leaderboards. Like the top apps will get rewarded. There are rewards of 20 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 10 lakhs in each category. And then in subcategories also there are awards. But the awards are a very small token appreciation for the app. The real value will be the leaderboards that will come up. And these leaderboards will give an indication to the people that these are apps which have been tried and tested by industry experts, and people can use them without any risk of loss of data or loss of privacy, as happens in many of the malicious apps. The second part of the challenge, which we'll launch subsequently, is the track 2 challenge, wherein we will look for development of apps and technological solutions which will address bigger issues, like for example a search engine, like for example a mobile browser, like for example an Indian map solution. And then there are certain other apps which will be required for various sectors of the economy, whether it's the automobile industry or whether it's the electron health industry. So all those things will also come up. So, but that will be the track 2 that will take a slightly longer time frame of 8 to 9 months, because the developers will require to develop that. They will have to require to invest that. So this first part of the challenge is primarily to kickstart the app innovation and app development ecosystem. This will ensure that these app developers get funding. In fact, there are a lot of tech interest. We have been hearing about the top tech majors across the world announcing their investment plans in India. So that's a testimony to the fact, to the talent that exists in India, to the capabilities that we have. It's only what is required is that the government has to play the role of a facilitator to show the direction in the right way and help realize the tech dreams of our entrepreneurs and engineers.
And by when some of these apps that are coming out through this challenge, will they become downloadable for people like me and our viewers to use?
See, the timeline that we have announced is that 18th of July is the last date for submission of the entries. And after that, the very stringent evaluation process will set in. And we hope to come up with the first set of results by 7th of August, which is
Wonderful.
also incidentally the Swadeshi Divas.
Yes. Devjani, in terms of how this challenge has been structured, what is your view on it? Does it provide that sort of an atmosphere, that ecosystem that you've been talking about, that will lead to the development of more and more apps?
I think it'll lead to much more than just more and more apps, because the way Meti is running this, they're bringing together the industry, the big players, the small players, they're bringing together academia. It pretty much takes a village to grow a child, and they're absolutely bringing the village together that will nurture this ecosystem. I think if we are, as we are successful developing this ecosystem, getting some good apps out there, the apps can start seeing downloads, and it's already happening. Look at Chingari. Look at some of the apps that came up when TikTok got banned, and the kind of downloads they have seen. It's been fascinating, right? I think it'll absolutely happen. We as an industry have to commit to be a part of it and mentor this ecosystem, because a lot of these youngsters, young entrepreneurs get carried away with the look and feel of the app. It's how cool does it look and how fancy does it look. That's not how you build an app, right? I mean, you have to look at, first of all, what problem are you solving? Will someone pay for that problem? That's the first question. Do you have a good problem? And then about simplicity. I mean, to me, the main secret sauce of an app is how simple is it to use. The simplicity of use, the ease of use becomes extremely important. Yes, features and all of that matter, but we have to keep it simple as much as we can. I think that's critical. And then a lot of the entrepreneurs forget to think about the back end of an app ecosystem. Do they have the servers that will handle the downloads? Do they have, how are they, where's their data center? Which data center are they going to use? How are they going to, where's the data going to be kept? All of those questions have to be thought through. How do they ensure that it's a very secure experience? That's another critical thing they have to think through.
In terms of Abhishek, usage of apps, if you ask any normal user, of course, what Devjani said, simplicity of use, and to what extent it is already being used is also a big criteria for people to decide which app to download, because it grows by word of mouth. The other concerns are, will it drain my battery too much, or will it take up too much space, in my phone? All these things will be considerations in this contest as well.
Yes, the apps have to be simple, as Devjani said. They have to be light. They have to be light. They have to be conserving batteries. They have to ensure that they are scalable. They don't hang when a lot of users are using it. So the user experience, the UI UX, the user interface and the UI UX, what you experience when using the app has to be the best. And it's a difficult world. It's not easy. And there are people who are out there to outshine you. There are competitors from countries all over the world, and then there are the other issue of the hackers who would not want an Indian app ecosystem to take place, because we know we are the world leaders in software services, but we have the potential for being software products. So there are entities, there are elements who would try to target us. We saw yesterday even Twitter got hacked. So the hackers have the capabilities. So if we do not build secure systems, if we do not invest in the backend, as Devjani mentioned, if we do not look into the scalability issues, we will not be able to succeed.
Right. Devjani, that is what it's all about. To what extent is the ecosystem? It's not just about government, it's about industry bodies like you as well and other stakeholders. How are they helping this entire ecosystem grow? And there again, the issue of security that Abhishek flagged is a big concern, because that can jeopardize everything in a very short span of time. So, how are we building a more secure and a more vibrant, ecosystem for helping our wider, not just the app industry, but the IT industry grow?
So the good thing about Indian IT ecosystem is we have a very connected and collaborative ecosystem. So if you look at the large companies, I mean, it'll be difficult for me to think about even one large company that is not working with startups. Like every large company today has a startup initiative where they're working with startups, and it's primarily a mentoring kind of an initiative, acceleration, mentoring, etc., where they're working with startups to help. I mean, all the NASCOM initiatives we run for startups, whether it's the Deep Tech Club, 10K, etc., we have some of the best mentors from the industry who give their time to work with startups and help them figure through their business continuity plans, their infrastructure plans, customer retention plans, cybersecurity plans, etc., etc. So the good thing is startups have a lot of help. They have a lot of help. There are a lot of good people who are willing to devote their time to this ecosystem. And I think what now Meti is offering us is a much bigger platform where we can all come together to make it happen. Um, the intent is there. The intent is very strong. The intent is there. I think, one of the things, even for large companies, success in this new norm will depend on a few things. And, talent is very important. Innovation, cutting edge innovation is very important. And one of the things you're beginning to realize, or you have realized, is innovation is not going to be all in house. No one is going to be able to keep innovation all in house. The success imperative will be how good you are in partnership, how good
Okay.
are you in finding the new partners, and within partnerships, how agile are your partnerships? Because in today's world, agile, speed eats everything else for breakfast. So speed becomes extremely important, and in that context, startup partnerships are very important. So this is a win-win game for the ecosystem.
Okay. But Abhishek, this is a scenario which is quite challenging post-COVID. We've been talking about how it's been perhaps even more challenging for startups. There's that FICCI report that came as well, that 70% of startups are having trouble. They have been affected by this COVID-induced lockdown and the other things that have happened around this entire pandemic. Now, in this challenging scenario, what are the other measures that are being thought of by the government and industry bodies like NASCOM? I come to Dave Jani with that question as well, but I want to start with you.
Yeah, so as mentioned, that this is a big challenge for everyone, whether it's a startup, the MSME, big industry, everyone. So what the government came up as the Atmanirbhar package was that they came up with a lot of incentives with regard to providing support to the MSME sector, and then even the scope of the MSME sector was expanded, so more companies could get benefits from that. The working loans, the loans without collaterals was extended. And most of the credit that is offered has also been claimed. The support system with regard to using startups in various tenders have also been relaxed. The global tenders for more than 200, less than 200 crores have been banned. So this, all these measures that the MSME ministry has taken is primarily to give support to the Indian companies, the startups, and the other medium, micro, and small enterprises. And all this is helping them to tide over the crisis. Yes, there are no easy solutions. There will be startups who will be facing challenges with regard to retaining their team, paying for their expenses, because the cash flows will happen after some time. So the government, what is doing is that, as far as possible, allowing the startups to compete in such challenges, ensuring that we use their solutions, using the Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign as a way to promote many of these homegrown companies. Let them occupy the space that exists, and let them be able to meet the gap in the product space that exists. So all that
Mhm.
measures are being taken. So there are fiscal measures, there are other incentives with regard to deferring the payment of taxes, deferring payment of loans. So all those measures will together help the startup entrepreneurs, the startup ecosystem, to survive this pandemic. But yes, things will be difficult, and those who are really kind of fit enough to survive will definitely make it and come out stronger and better.
Okay, and Devjani, it's always said that when one door closes, another opens, and we've seen that happening as well through this difficult period ever since the pandemic hit India, of course, as well in the world too. Uh, what sort of areas do you think have opened up because of COVID as well, especially in the IT app space?
See, any crisis, and COVID not excluded, uh, offers pretty much what I call an explosion of opportunities to companies that are ready to seize those opportunities. If you're not ready to seize the opportunities, you're not going to see the opportunity. But if you're ready to seize the opportunities, which is basically having a mindset of change, and you will be, I mean, every single crisis, name a crisis, companies that have been ready to seize the opportunity have done so. When you look at a startup ecosystem, what gives me hope is, in fact, NASCOM did a survey of the startup ecosystem a few months back. And while more than around 90% said that they were running out of cash, and around 70% plus had only cash left for 3 months in hand. Most of them were working really hard to pivot their business to the new opportunities that the pandemic was creating, be it telemedicine, be it online education, be it digital finance, etc., etc. And we continue to go back to our startups to see how they're doing, and I'm very happy that more than 50% of them have successfully pivoted today. I'm talking about the entry level NASCOM startups, the work
Are you giving
NASCOM
me a
community.
headline there?
Sorry.
You're giving me a
No,
headline
I
there.
mean, it's very simple, right? What options do you have? Either you pivot or you die. I mean, I'm sorry, but there is no other option, right? You can't continue in status quo and expect this to go away, because none of us know when this will go away. We could be living this nightmare for maybe a few years for all we know, right?
Yes.
So pivot, and it's fantastic, and I can give you so many names of startups that have really successfully pivoted and actually now beginning to see revenue growth opportunities, right? Which
Wonderful.
gives me tremendous hope. As NASCOM right now, that's our primary focus. How do we help our startups pivot, find the right problem to solve, pivot their business, and how do we mentor them so they can do that successfully and actually get the business back on track? Right? That's the number one opportunity. And I think number one task for NASCOM. And the second thing for us is to continue to work with Mighty and team and all governments, which is beginning to happen now, to ensure that India becomes a buyer of our startup ecosystem. It's not just enough to sit on the sidelines and cheer and clap for them and say, good on you, go make it happen. We have to put our money where our mouth is. We have to now start buying for the startup ecosystem. And here, I honestly give, I don't usually flatter Meti a lot, but I honestly give tremendous credit to Meti for doing exactly that in the video conferencing challenge which they ran. They were very brave to come out and say that whoever wins this challenge will get a contract from Meti.
Wonderful.
Most of us don't have the guts to do that, because we're very worried, will it work, won't it work, etc., right? But they did it, and I think that started off a precedence that I can now see, where everyone else is also saying, okay, if those guys could do it, maybe we can too. So, you need champions, you need those change agents who are going to come and change a certain behavior. And I think we need to change that behavior of saying startups are great, but I will not buy from them.
That's a very important point that Devjani brought in about, being willing to put your money where your mouth is. Even for most app users, as long as the app is free, they're very happy to download it. But when it comes to paying for it, it's a different story. And giving a nurturing atmosphere and, in terms of support, mentoring is one thing, but to help people find, you know, angel investors and then, get in money, have them get contracts as well. That's another story. So through this challenge again, Abhishek, do you feel that this is something that will develop and mature through the course of these months and years?
See, that is a very essential component about the whole thing, so that we walk the talk and we don't just do lip service. So when the government says that, yes, we are supporting the startup, it's not just a statement of intent. And because what we have done with the VC challenge is that, yes, we believe in the capability of the startups to build a VC challenge that can meet the requirements of Government of India. And once it meets the requirements of Government of India, we are willing to sign a contract with them to offer the solution to us. Because frankly speaking, if you look at the technology of the VC solution, there are multiple solutions available. It's not rocket science. And what we have found was that the capability exists in Indian IT industry to build such solutions that can scale. We were surprised to find more than 2,000 entries. It was a task to cut down from 2,000 to 30. And after the 30 presentations, we had almost non-stop presentations. Devjani was part of it along with other industry and academia leaders. We cut down to 12. And when these 12 made these presentations and we were supposed to select only top three, we could not zero down onto top three because all of them were so good. So we have now selected the top five, who are all building their final solutions, which will be tested. And the one that wins the contest will get a government contract to offer VC solutions to the government at a cost that the government will pay them. And the
Wonderful.
remaining solutions will also be put on the government e-marketplace for any other government entity to take the services from the GEM portal. And once an entity has a contract from Government of India for offering a solution, they will be able to leverage that. They will be able to offer the same solution to other players in the industry within India, and not only within India but across the world. The same company, I am sure, once offering a solution on contract to Government of India, they will be able to sell it to Sri Lanka, they will be able to sell it to Bangladesh, they will be able to
Great.
sell it across the world, and they will be much better than the ones that we are using presently or the ones which are market leaders right now. But I'll just give you one small example. One of the solutions that was submitted, they're AI-based tools which ensure that in case a panelist in a webinar or in a conference video meeting is sitting in a dark corner, the
Okay.
tool senses that and brightens his face. One of them had a solution in which if there is a dog barking in the background, which has become very often in VC meetings and otherwise, or some noise, some pressure cooker CT coming from the
Yeah.
kitchen, they will dim that sound and they will
Okay.
enhance the voice of the speaker. So these are features which are like amazing. And once you have a product with these kind of features, I am sure the world will buy it.
Great, great. I hope that happens. More power to you, my Gav, that is, and to NASCOM as well. Dejani, thanks a lot for joining us to talk about how ideas are being nurtured essentially in India at this point when things are challenging. But this is where we will have our metal tested as well, and I'm sure we'll be successful. Thanks a lot for joining us.